Hello. Hi. Great. Welcome, everybody. Pleasure to see you all. I know you can see me and I can't see you, but we're going to pretend I can because it makes the situation less awkward, and the fact that I'm just sat talking to myself in an empty room a bit less awkward. Anyway, pleasure to meet you. My name's Alec. I'll be your host for this evening. For those who don't know what that means, is basically the host is the person at the beginning of a live stream or any type of event you go to, and they're the ones that, talk a lot, introduce people, bore you, and then usually don't know when to stop talking. And I think that's a very, very fitting description of me. So here I am. Anyway, don't worry, I am going to try and keep it short and sweet. You won't have to deal with me for long. But to start off, some of you may be aware we did do another live stream last month. That was in aid of Age UK, and I'm very, very proud to announce that we made, I believe, £615 for that charity, which none of us were expecting. I think our target originally was £300 and it just kept getting higher and higher and higher. But we're back, and that is partly because, well, entirely because we realised upon doing that how much fun we were having, and how if we're able to have fun while helping other people at the same time, why not just do more of it? And then this happened, and here we are, and yeah. Anyway, in today's event, moving on from that, we are going to be raising money for NHS Charities Together. Very, very good charity. Obviously, the NHS is a wonderful service. They have helped Britons through the past years, especially the past months, and without them, a lot of people in the UK wouldn't be able to get the healthcare that they need, because not very many people can afford to go private. I'm a stuttering mess. Anyway, the stories that we're actually going to do today are going to be a little bit about history, a little bit about mythology, a little bit fun, a little bit quirky, and secretly educational. Primarily because when it comes to education, when kids find out it's educational, they lose interest very, very fast and they stop paying attention. So this is our plan. This is our plan. Make it fun. That's never been done before. I can see you thinking, I can sense you thinking this is a 100% original idea, and I'm so happy you've joined us. Anyway, without further ado, let's crack on. The first story, happy to introduce it to you, is called The Box. It's written by a close friend of mine, Miss Rebecca Kinder, and it is narrated by another close friend of mine, Miss Helena Beauchamp. Let's see how they do.
Pandora's Box. The box was brown. The man who held it was grey. He held it with particular care, frightened it might melt away, reveal its guts, the preciousness contained inside the box, defeat the purpose of everything. The man's stance was dubious. He was not certain whether he was the hunter or the hunted. The city around him was rich. Steely, nacreous skyscrapers dwarfed him and all other people. There was a sparkle in the air. Birds were singing pleasantly, and street musicians went with them melodically. The man paid no mind to anything except for his goal, the delivery of his Pandora's box. Pandora's box, the end of the world, is within the box. The box holds every sorrow within the natural world. From war to plague, sorrow can be deadly. To hold a box like this within his hands, it was like he could change fate, to end the righteousness of the modern-day world. So he held it tight against him, walking down the ever-darkening streets, getting closer to his destination. The woman on the phone told him what was in the box and where he could take it, and the next day money was deposited into his account. He should think, what will happen with the box? What does the woman want with the box? The stoplights changed colour. The traffic came to a breathing halt. The cars, buses, trucks seemed exhausted, overused. The people, too, waiting to cross the road. Their eyes were directed downwards, faces lit up by the blue gleams of their portable gadgets. Their shoes were worn, but not old, and like their clothes, made by the delicate and flexible fingers of children from poorer parts of the world. They took care not to look at others, unless to compare and dissect what they saw, figure out if they were stronger or weaker than that person. The irritated gathering moved forward, crossing the road. The man followed. He was accustomed to people looking and dissecting how he is and where he is going. This would not stop him from his destination. The task was all important. Nothing could stop him. He walked through the barren car park. The sun has gone down, the streets are emptying. He is alone. So he walked through, not having to push through the crowds, to fight against the encroaching people of all ages. In front of him appears a building. It seems abandoned, but he knows it is not. There is someone or something. The doors loom in front of him. He touches the handle, the cold from the metal seeping into his hand. "Hey man, that's a real nice suit. You rich?" The man was not frightened, but was taken aback by this flock of so-called youths approaching him. What were they doing obstructing his way? He had a mission. Were they not aware? "Let me look at that watch, man. Gold. Swanky. I'd love me a watch like that." They had a mean look. Had spent too many years living out in the cold, seeing others plump and warm and wastefully throwing unspoiled food away. They grabbed the man by his wrists. The box was carelessly flung upon the pavement, and the lid flew off. Black seeping fog exploded from the box, travelling along the floor, growing up and overtaking the streets, and then exploring the newly created world order. The sorrows were free to explore and become your worst nightmare. The box itself was now empty. There were no sorrows left. The world had become chaos, and the creatures that thrived on that were now out there. The man who wanted the box may have won. 3 days later, the world was dark. The black pigments in the atmosphere blocked out the sunlight, and nothing could grow any more. Withered were the trees, the flowers. People wandered aimlessly, faces already lean, eyes hanging heavy in their sockets. People were without will. A chaotic sense of hopelessness clawed at them, devoured them. Of course, they could have done something about this infection of their atmosphere, if they wanted. But the disease reached further than one could ever think. Disease seeped into the brains, the hearts, the souls of all beings. They were no longer in their own control. People were losing the chance to fight for their survival. People died and the war began, and the world was ending. Humans were dying out because there was one thing they did not know. Every day, the grey man held the box. And one day he opened it, and one more item came flying and soaring out of the box. And that item was nothing big, not words and not a weapon, but hope. Something so simple that it accelerated humans to fight a war. It was their only chance.
Well, that was good. I have to say, I'm quite fond of that. A very big thank you to Miss Helena Beauchamp for narrating that, and another big thanks to Miss Rebecca Kinder for writing that. Without them, we wouldn't have it at all, so kudos. Yes. Just a quick thing about the light. The sun is setting. It is evening here in England. I apologise. However, I can't control the sun, so there we are. Anyway, Just to mention quickly, that accent in the middle, my goodness, my favourite thing. It came out of nowhere, it hit the spot. Perfection. I want you guys to, in the comments below, tell me exactly what you think, what your favourite bits are, what you didn't like so much, whereas we can, tweak and improve on. Just tell us what you think. We love to hear what you guys want. It's great. But now, moving on to the next one, we've got another story written by the lovely Ray Tate and narrated by the lovely Jadzia. It is called, it's two stories for a start, so double whammy, both mythology based, Hunger and Heracles. Without further ado, take it away.
Journey with us, over 2,000 miles and 1,600 years into the past, to the height of ancient Greece and its civilization. The ancient Greeks are famous for many of the novelties we see today, like maths and the yo-yo. Along with their numerous inventions, the Greeks were also known for their myths and legends. Today I share with you the story of Cronus and the birth of the Greek gods. Cronus was a fearsome titan. He was king of all titans and god of all time. Not someone you'd want to mess with, as he was seen as a destructive force and all-devouring. Cronus was married to a titan by the name of Rhea, who was also his sister. Married to his sister? Very gross. Rhea was believed to be the Great Mother, as she was the mother of the first generation of Olympian gods. She was the goddess of motherhood. These children went by the names Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, Poseidon, and Zeus. They were lovely children. Well, at least they were, until Cronus got his hands on them. You see, Cronus was told his children would rebel against him and overthrow him and his empire of titans. Obviously, his first plan was to simply not have children. He thought this plan was going swimmingly, until Rhea told him she was carrying his child. This did not make Cronus happy. When the sweet child Hestia, goddess of hearth and home, was born, Cronus resorted to Plan B. Cronus asked his unsuspecting sister/wife to see the child, and ate it. Cronus swallowed the poor child whole. Surprisingly, things went on as normal after that. Cronus had secured his fate as the king of titans for the foreseeable future, and everything was fine. Until Rhea had a second child named Demeter. She was the goddess of bread. Imagine being the god or goddess of bread. Not very exciting. Again, Rhea didn't learn her lesson, and the poor child was eaten whole by her father. Again, Cronus had secured... Never mind. There was another child, another 3 in fact. Hera, Hades, and Poseidon all followed their siblings' fate and joined them in the gut of their Titan father. You'd think Rhea would have learnt her lesson by the 4th child at least. Well, when Zeus, god of the sky and law and order, was born, Rhea had a plan. When Cronus demanded to see his child, Rhea handed him a rock wrapped in a blanket. The old fool swallowed the rock whole like he had his other children. You would have thought a rock would taste different and feel different to a child, but Cronus didn't notice anything. He went about his business like it was normal. Zeus was now safe and was raised in secret by nymphs. When Zeus was old and strong enough, he planned to confront his father. Now, one thing you need to know about gods is they don't die. So when Cronus swallowed them whole all those years ago, they were still alive. So, at this point, Cronus had a bunch of teenagers in his stomach, waiting to be freed. The time came, and Zeus sprung into action. Sadly, there was no epic battle. What Zeus did instead was secretly spike his drink. When Cronus unwittingly drank, he spewed the fully grown children from his mouth in a shower of guts and blood. All the young gods were quite unhappy with their father. While Cronus was weak from throwing up, they took their revenge. They chopped their father into tiny pieces and scattered him across the world. Much like gods, Titans don't die easily. This means that Cronus was still alive while being chopped up and scattered. They say that to this day he remains scattered in pain, waiting to reform to exact his revenge on his children. Now, with the terrible Titan fallen, the gods were free to rule over the world as they see fit. Now we move on to another famous tale from the ancient Greeks, Heracles. Most people call it the tale of Hercules. Heracles, Hercules, two very similar names, two identical stories, the same person. The only difference is in their origin. Heracles comes from Greece, whereas Hercules comes from Rome. The Romans stole many tales and gods from the Greeks. Very sneaky. Bet they thought we wouldn't notice. Anyway, I now present to you the 12 labors of Hercules. Hercules was one of the many children of Zeus. His mere existence annoyed Hera, Zeus's wife and sister. Yep, you guessed it. Zeus was just like his dad and married his sister. Keeping it in the family, I guess? Hercules greatly annoyed Hera because he was not her child. Zeus had been disloyal to her, with a mortal princess called Alcmene. She was Hercules' mother. Maybe Zeus tried to get on her good side by naming the child after her. Well, almost. Hera, Hercules. No? Oh well. Hera sought to ruin Hercules' life in revenge, and was actually quite successful in this. See, after Hercules had been and conquered a war, he decided to settle down with a bride and start a family. For a few years, he led a peaceful life, until Hera decided otherwise. She took control of Hercules and forced him to slay his beloved wife and children in a fit of rage. Once Hera's influence faded, our hero saw what he had done. Riddled with guilt and shame, he went to King Eurystheus to seek forgiveness through service. Eurystheus didn't like Hercules for some reason, probably jealous of his good looks. So he gave him a grueling task that would surely kill him, so the king wouldn't have to deal with Hercules and his moping. So, Hercules' first task was to kill the Nemean lion. It was said it could not be killed, as its golden fur protected it from mortal attacks, and its claws were sharper than any blade, and could slice through any armor like butter. Well, Hercules killed it with ease. Instead of trying to cut the beast like everyone else had tried and failed to do, he just strangled the lion. After the lion had fallen, Hercules took the lion's pelt and used it for his own protection, and to show off a little. He returned, much to the king's disappointment, so the king sent him on another, harder task. He was convinced that would kill the hero. Hercules' second task was to kill the 9-headed Hydra. Once again, Hercules set out to complete his expedition. This monster was thought to be invincible. Many had tried to cut off its head, only to see more heads grow back in its place. The people thought it would continue to Hercules just burned it. Right. Hydras, not fireproof. Good to know. So Hercules returned to the king, again, still alive. I suspect he couldn't think of anything to kill Hercules at this point, so he sent him off to capture the elusive golden stag and a wild boar that lived in the mountains, to at least buy him some time to think of something else before Hercules returned. But Hercules completed the task with ease by befriending the creatures. You would have thought someone else would have thought of that. Understandably, King Eurystheus was getting quite irritated at this point. Hercules had completed 6 tasks, and all he lost was a finger to the lion. Hercules was a tough nut to crack, but Eurystheus wasn't done with him yet. Hercules' next grueling, gut-wrenching, heart-stopping, toe-biting, deadly task was to clean some stables? I don't really get the catch on this one. Apparently there was just a lot of mess and he had to do it in one day. That doesn't seem so bad. Obviously, Hercules finished it. Hercules' next task was far more dangerous than cleaning up poop. He was sent to shoot down the monstrous, man-eating birds of some marsh. These birds had made their way to the god Ares. Their beaks were made of bronze, and their feathers were razor-sharp metal that they would use to hurl at prey. When Hercules got to the marsh, he couldn't get to the nest. Stuck on what to do, the goddess Athena gave him a helping hand. She gave Hercules a rattle, which he used to scare the birds away and shoot them as they flew away. Much to the king's annoyance, Hercules returned once again to his kingdom. So he sent our hero out to collect the mad bull that terrorized Crete and some of the man-eating mares. I'm starting to think Eurystheus wanted to start a little petting zoo of deadly animals. Not sure how that would work. Far too many man-eaters. You'd never find the staff to feed them all. Anyway, as you may expect at this point, Hercules wrangled the bull and captured the mares with little trouble. On the bright side, Hercules was doing a great job at cleaning up animal-related crime in Greece, even if it was just for a king's selfish desires. The 9th task was to steal a girdle. Now, if you paid attention, you'll know what this is. This girdle was a fancy one, magic in fact, owned and guarded by the Amazon women, who famously hated men. Why the king wanted this girdle, I'm unsure. It wouldn't aid his petting zoo. Maybe he wanted it to look fashionable. In order to steal this girdle, Hercules needed to get past the guards and their leader, Hippolyta. On his way to their land, he planned and plotted for the struggle he encountered. However, when he arrived, he was greeted by the curious Amazons. He asked to meet their leader, Hippolyta, in private, and they obliged. In her company, Hercules told of his tale and tragedy. Hippolyta showed no sympathy towards Hercules, and stayed strong, though inside she felt sorrow and compassion for him. She knew what the belt meant to her and her people, but she was not heartless. In the end, Hippolyta gave Hercules the belt so he could finish the task. Being honest and sharing your feelings with others pays off, you know. After the peaceful quest, Eurystheus ramped up the difficulty again with this 10th task. Hercules was to steal some cattle. Not too hard, right? Well, he had to steal them from a 3-bodied giant named Geryon. Geryon had 3 heads and 6 eyes, which were always on the lookout for people who wanted to steal his cattle. Sneaking past this giant was not an option. So instead, Hercules impaled all 3 heads like a kebab with a long spear. Disorientated and confused, the giant was unable to stop Hercules running off with his cattle. Once Hercules returned with the cattle, Eurystheus found himself to be a bit peckish. He decided his hunger would not be resolved by any ordinary food. Oh no, only the golden apples kept at the world's end would suffice. New task in mind, Hercules made the long haul to the world's end to find the golden apples. Hercules found the garden where the apple tree grew, but could not find the tree itself. Instead, he found Atlas, the titan that held up the earth and the sky. Hercules asked Atlas where he could find the apples, to which Atlas told him it was guarded by monsters created by the gods, and he would be unwise to seek it out. However, Atlas offered to fetch the apples himself if Hercules took his place for a while, which Hercules agreed to. When Atlas returned, He told Hercules that he would take the apples to Eurystheus directly, but he would not be taking the sky back. That Hercules was supposed to hold up the sky for the rest of time. Hercules felt cheated, but he obliged. Content with his freedom, Atlas started to leave, but Hercules had a plan in his toga. He asked Atlas to take back the sky for a moment so he could get some padding for his shoulders. Foolishly, Atlas agreed. When they had swapped positions, Hercules simply walked away with the golden apples. After seeing Hercules survive countless tasks he should have perished from, Eurystheus was getting sick of seeing him alive. So, he made Hercules' final task impossible. For the 12th labor, Hercules was to retrieve Cerberus, the 3-headed dog that guarded the gates to the underworld. All that entered the underworld never returned, so the king felt confident that this would be the end of the hero. Hercules made it to the entrance of the underworld, and all the way to the river Styx. The only way to get across the river was by the ferryman's boat. However, the ferryman only let those who were dead or had a gold coin under their tongue onto his boat. Hercules filled neither requirement. It took many moons of bartering and badgering, but the ferryman reluctantly allowed Hercules to cross the river with him. When Hercules reached the gates of the underworld, he found himself faced with the fearsome beast, Cerberus. He walked straight on by, and instead sought out Hades himself. At first, Hades was enraged to see a living soul in his domain, but then Hercules explained his reason for being there. He asked if he could bring Cerberus with him for his final labor. Hades was impressed by the respect Hercules showed towards him, and allowed Hercules to peacefully take his beloved pet to the overworld. With hound in tow, Hercules once again returned to Eurystheus. Finally, at long last, the king accepted Hercules, for he had proven his worth. Besides, Eurystheus now had the rarest and most exclusive petting zoo in Greece.
Hello and welcome to part 3 of Ramblings of a Strange Person Sat Alone Talking to Himself in the Kitchen. That was another really good story. Thank you to Jadzia and thank you to Ray for respectively narrating and writing that piece. Preface to what I said before, I blame the lighting on the sun setting. I've since realised it's about 5:30 in the middle of summer in the UK. It's not setting, the clouds are just there. They're a problem. We're used to it by now. Doesn't make it any less aggravating. Doesn't make my statement before any less wrong. Anyway, now we have got yet another story. This is our final story tonight. It is called The Royal Spouse Race. It is written by the lovely Miss Ellie Rhodes, and it is narrated by the handsome Sam Burnett-Bush, hyphenated. Here they are, and take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, citizens of various nose sizes, welcome to this year's Royal Spouse Race. I am your host, Timmy the Time-Travelling Rabbit. As per every year, we will be taking one monarch's love life and watching it displayed on the race course. Is it cruel? Who knows? But we'll all enjoy it anyway. For today's event, our selected monarch is, drumroll please, flashy stage lights that make everyone dizzy, psh, psh, crowd held in a crazy moment of suspense, Henry VIII! He is our second Tudor king, and my, how sporty and handsome a king he is. I have a feeling today's race is going to be, right, okay then, ladies and gentlemen, we've just received reports that Henry is in want of a male heir. This could really turn the tide of the race. He is hoping that someone can give him a son. Okay, the women are starting to take their place. Hair is being pinned, skirts are being ruffled, and little slippers are being tightly fitted onto racing feet. We are starting at 1509, where young Henry has just been announced King of England. The stadium is silent. And they're off! All the ladies are flying down the track. It appears that Henry is taking a shining to Catherine of Aragon. Oh, however, we do know she is married to his brother Arthur. Oh, Arthur is dead, and Catherine has legged it to first place. Being a favourite to the daughter of Spain and a devout Catholic woman, she is sure to be a favourite among the crowds. Even Henry's council are happy with the marriage. It's never a bad thing having good relations with another country. Catherine is pregnant with Henry's child, and she is speeding ahead. That big belly of hers swinging side to side like a massive beach ball. Will it be the male heir he is after? Oh! Sadly not. Catherine has given birth to a daughter, Mary, and has therefore made a stumble quite early on in. Oof, unfortunate. Anne Boleyn, Catherine's maid of honour and second place in the race, is catching up. Henry has started to have a bit of a thing for... There it is! Anne has given Catherine a sharp elbow to the ribcage and she has completely overtaken her. Henry has just made himself the head of the Church of England, breaking away from the Pope, bold move, and divorced Catherine. Catherine of Aragon is out of the race, head hung low, babe in arms. Not only has she lost first place, she has lost her reputation too. We have reached the 1533 milestone, and Anne is the official wife of Henry VIII. It looks like she too is promising Henry a son. Isn't it funny watching all these pregnant women waddling around, ladies and gentlemen? We've been getting mailed complaints saying that it's inhumane, but we've given those letters to Larry, our chief of complaints and local tortoise, and he is really chomping those letters. Oh, not again. Anne Boleyn has just had a little girl, little Elizabeth, and Henry is not pleased. What's this? He wants to execute for high treason. That is Anne Boleyn out of the race with her head rolling down the exit door. We are still at the 1536 milestone, the year of the execution, and Henry has just married Jane Seymour, Anne's lady in waiting. Look at her hurdle that dead body and snatch first place. It looks like that Henry was writing Jane love letters even though he was with Jane. Oof. Ouch. Despite the grey hairs and podgy belly, Jane wants to look after Henry. Oh, how sweet. Her pretty face and caring personality has sent her years ahead of the other athletes. Not only that, she has a son, Edward! Henry and the crowd are going wild. It looks like we have a clear winner this time. We are Ladies and gentlemen, Jane Seymour has just died of birthing complications. Oh, Henry's favourite wife is out of the race. Oof. Our old king is not looking his best, it's fair to say. He's wrinkly, fat, and having 3 past wives isn't making him the most appealing of chaps to women. His mate Tom Cromwell is making him get a portrait done anyway. Brave move, bear in mind his looks. Oh, wow, that is a stunner of a painting. His red hair is thick and lush, his muscles are bulging, and belly... What belly? No woman could refuse this bonus of a man. It looks like he's attracted the attention of Anne of Cleves, who is destroying the other contestants. She is desperate for some of that muscular king. Henry's received her profile pic, and he loves what he sees so much that he's offered her marriage, but wait. Oof. Anne is not exactly a Kardashian. Far from it. This woman is hideous. Turns out she's a little disappointed with her husband too. Anne is stumbling all over the place. This could mean the loss of her head. Henry and Anne are agreeing to an annulment so soon into the marriage. Oof, sucks to be Anne. She can't go back home because her family don't want a divorced daughter. Luckily, she's a fan of British ales. Anne has run off the course, out the stadium, and down to the nearest pub. Could have been worse. Racing to take Anne's place is her lady-in-waiting, Catherine Howard. Turns out that Henry was sending her love letters and gifts while he was still married. I'm sensing a theme, ladies and gentlemen. This means that Catherine was Anne's tail the entire time. Henry's desperate for a pretty wife after that train wreck of a marriage, and so he's gone and gotten married to Catherine. She's got a good lead, but we have just been told here in the commentator's box that Catherine has been keeping a few little boyfriends for her own fun. Not only that, but she was previously engaged to! While Henry and Catherine are on their own romantic getaway up north, each and every one of her little flings are either being tortured or executed. What's this? Looks like Henry wants another beheading after finding out. Bye, Catherine. Medics are carrying off her headless body as we speak. Queen for only 18 months. That's a little embarrassing. Oof. I guess we've learnt a lesson here, ladies and gentlemen. Never cheat on a grumpy old king if you want to keep your noggin. Ugh. Well, we only have one remaining contestant who hasn't been chucked out, beheaded, or dropped dead. Henry is being pestered by both the Roman Catholic Church and the Church of England. They want to prove who's best. Poor old Henry can't deal with it. He needs a wife to look after him, but no one will take him. He's far too fat and old for any respectable woman. However, Catherine Parr, who originally started off in last place as the royal spouse races, is now first, and she's been reading up about the church. She's perfect! Look at her, she's skipping down that track, whistling to herself as she writes a book about religion. Now that's just showing off. I mean, seriously. She's making the final hops down to the finishing line as Henry's making plans for his death, and there it is! Catherine Parr has won this year's royal spouse race at the 15:47 finish line, just as Henry snuffs it. Thank you everyone with all those big toes and big green ears for coming to this year's race. Next year will be hosted in 1558, where Henry's daughter Elizabeth takes the throne. We'll see how many men she can tease before the end of her reign. Once again, it's goodbye from me, Timmy the Time-Travelling Rabbit, and everyone here at the racecourse. See you next era.
Well, that's that. That was the last story of the evening. Can I just say a big thank you to Ellie for writing it and Sam for narrating it. My goodness, he talks so fast in that. It's kind of amazing. I wish I could talk that fast. If I did, maybe we wouldn't be stuck here with me waffling on for ages. I'm never going to stop. I think we need to accept that now. But moving on, I want to thank you all so much for coming and watching. This is going to stay on YouTube, so feel free to rewatch it as much as you want. About our donations, obviously this was all in aid of NHS Charities Together. As of this going live, I believe we are just under £100 in terms of donations. The donation page will stay open, so it's not too late to donate even after this live stream is done. You've got up until the end of the month. It will be here throughout the entirety of June. We have set our expected donations a little bit lower this month, mainly because people are going back to work. You need money for transport, you need money for food when you're in work. Lockdown's coming to a close, we understand that, but still, if you can, please donate. It is a very, very good cause and every little helps. In the meantime, thank you again all so much for watching. It really is fun to make, it's fun to do, and the fact that we get to help charities and organisations at the exact same time makes it even all the more worthwhile. This is our last scheduled stream for now. Who knows what the future holds. We do have a small announcement, surprise. Haven't decided what it's going to be yet, but keep your eyes peeled on our social media. That will be coming out next month, whatever it is. It's anticipation, God. But yeah. Oh, by the way, about the socials, they are listed below. I would tell you them now. I can't remember them. I don't have brain space for that. But I'm sure they'll be below. I'll book the editors. They'll be below. But for now, again, thank you so much for watching. And goodbye. But it is past your bedtime, so shoot. Right, this is where you go. Now, bye-bye.
Now it's time for some questions. In the story you were told what some of the god and goddesses were worshipped for. But I didn't say what Hera, Hades, and Poseidon were worshipped for. Can you guess? The answer is, Hera was the goddess of marriage, Hades was the god of the underworld, and Poseidon was the god of the sea. Question 2. Demeter was the goddess of grain, or bread. Not the most exciting thing to be worshipped for. If you could be a god or goddess of food, what would it be, and how would you have people worship you? And finally, question 3. Do you know what a girdle is?
Questions. Number 1. Can you name all of Henry's 8 wives? A point for each correct name. Question number 2. What year did Henry become king? Was it A, 1499, B, 1509, or C, 1519? 3. Which wife was Henry's favourite? 4. Which year did Henry die? Was it A, 1547, B, 1557, or C, 1567? Question 5. Did Catherine Howard A, get executed, B, die, or C, survive? Question 6. What did Henry do to divorce Catherine of Aragon, his first wife, and anger the Pope? Question 7. What is the name of the spouse race's chief of complaints, and what is he? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sam. Goodbye.
Hello, it's me again from before. Hi. Just a quickie. I wasn't entirely truthful when saying that we had made £100 by the end of the stream. I lied, basically, not because I wanted to, but more because I had incorrect information. Happy to announce we've actually pretty much doubled what I said. Yeah, great news. Still processing, very sudden, but just thought it'd be courteous to let you know before this was all officially over. A big thank you to everyone who has donated. Wow, yeah, we did it. And if you haven't, that's fine, but there is still time, obviously. As I said before, the fundraising page is still open until end of June, and every little helps. So if you can, even if it's a small amount, go for it, because I can guarantee you that will, even that tiniest thing will make a huge amount of difference in the grand scheme of things. So just thank you so much from all of us at Past Your Bedtime. Thank you for helping us make this happen.